This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be climbing in that hatch down into the submarine and going underwater. We're going to be trying to take out the other submarine. We're going to be engineers, first mates, captains, radio officers, and we're going to be trying to take people out in Captain Sonar. This is from Matago. This is for 2 to 8 players. It's a real-time game that can also be played turn by turn. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. In Captain Sonar, you'll be on one side of these huge shields with awesome artwork with your team trying to get your submarine to destroy the other submarine. It takes up a lot of table space, but these shields look really cool. Now each team is sitting next to each other behind those shields, and you're trying to cause 4 points of damage to the other team to win the game. So there's 4 stations on each team, which means that you can have up to 8 players playing this game. If you have less players, then there's people that will be playing more than one position. There's also 2 ways to play the game. There is a turn by turn where you'll literally be going, your team will be taking a turn, they'll be taking a turn. Or every map can be, basically every sheet can be flipped over to be real time, and then it changes depending on that. So let's go look at turn by turn. So what's going to happen is the captain is going to be yelling which way we're going and be telling his teammates, but the other team is going to be listening. They'll pick a starting spot like this, and then they'll say heading north, and they will draw this. Now remember, that big shield is over here, so the other team can't see what we're doing, but he's saying this so that the other people on his team can hear it, especially because depending on what he says, certain things are going to happen, especially the other team's going to be eavesdropping because they're going to be doing some things too to try to listen in, and we'll show you about that in just a moment. So over the course of time, he's going to be saying heading north, and then they're going to say, okay, okay, and then the other team will go because it's turn by turn. And then they might say heading east, okay, okay, and then the other team will go. Now that's turn by turn. If you're doing this real time, they might just start here and go, heading south, okay, okay, heading east, okay, okay, heading south, okay, okay, heading west, and it's going to be, it might even be that fast. So it can be pretty frantic with the real time, but just for the ease of the use. By the way, everyone has these cool little markers. It says Captain Sonar on them, and they all have an eraser on them, so you can erase it out like that as well. Now each time that captain gives a direction, like heading north, south, or whatever, the first mate is sitting next to them, and they will check off one of the boxes on any one of these systems. So let's say, okay, let's check off drone. Okay, they would say, okay, and then they're waiting for the captain's next move. Next move, captain might say, you know, heading east. This player might go like this and say, okay, and they might say, heading south. Might go like this, and then the first mate will say, drone system ready, because it's up all the way. So they're going to be activating or getting these systems ready to be activating and letting the captain know when they're activated. I'll tell you what all these systems do in just a moment, but let's go on to the engineer. Now here you'll see a bunch of different bays of systems, and you'll see west, north, south, and east. So if the captain said heading north, the engineer has to decide which one of these entire things that they might cross off. So knowing that we're trying to activate the drone system, which is the green ones, people would be communicating, and we don't want to mark these off, because if any time even one of these green ones are marked off, those systems, even though they're activated, won't be able to get used because they need to be repaired. So maybe he says heading north, the engineer goes like this and says, okay, and now the captain again knows to go again. And again, maybe he said east, and maybe he crosses this one out. Now why might he do that? Well, there's different systems here. We see a red system, a gray system, and a yellow system. If at any point in time all of the systems on one thing are there, the engineer can then erase all the damage on that system. So sometimes you might give your temporary damage to something you don't want to alleviate damage on other places. Now you can sometimes give damage down here on the reactors or in the systems down here. Now if at any point in time all of these reactors are damaged, well, we would get 1 damage on our submarine. So you can actually damage yourself, and you don't want that to happen. If that were to happen, anytime you take damage from here, you'll essentially be erasing everything that's on this board because you'll start from scratch. Another one to take damage by accident or on purpose sometimes when you don't have other choices is anytime any one total bay is done. And in this case, you also would take damage. You would give yourself another damage on the submarine, and you would erase everything. So you can actually take damage on your own. It's not usually warranted, but sometimes it happens just by by accident or by certain things like that. So they're trying to decide which systems to get rid of one at a time, because remember, anytime any one of these has an X, you cannot use that system. Now here is the radio operator. Now this looks just like the captain's board, but what they're doing is the radio operator is listening to the radio, and they're listening to the opposite team's captain. So the opposite team's captain might say, heading north. And so this guy's going to go like this and head north. This is a transparency that you'll be moving around. And let's say the guy says, well, we're moving east. And we go east, and we hear, moving east. So we know that they didn't start there and they can't be on an island because you can't go through an island. So over the course of time, maybe they say south, east, north, north, east. And so over the course of time, this radio operator is trying to figure out where could he possibly be. Well, he couldn't have been there. Couldn't be here. And he's trying to figure out where that player might be and giving this information to the captain, because the captain's going to know when to activate the certain things that can hurt the other submarine. So let's talk about these different systems and how they activate. The green systems can be activated either by the first mate or the captain. The red systems or the yellow systems can only be activated by the captain. But remember, you all have to be in communication and look at what each other are doing, because if any one of these colors have an X on them, then you can't activate that system. So if I wanted to activate this green drone, I have to make sure that the engineer does not have any green X's there. If so, he's going to need to repair them, or sometimes you might purposely take damage if you think you might be able to beat them, by launching a torpedo or something like that. So this is here. Let's say, so at this point, they would say stop, and everybody would stop what they're doing, and this player would say activating drone. Now what the drone is basically, they're going to ask about a certain sector. Now here, there's only 4 sectors, but again, if you're playing with the real time here, this map has 9 sectors. So they might say, are you in sector 4? And they basically just have to say yes or no. Once that's done, then we go like that, but now we have information about them. If you are activating the sonar, basically they're going to give you 2 pieces of information. One's going to be true, one's going to be false. So let's say the other team activated the sonar on us. We are right here right now. We give them 2 pieces of information. We can give them the column, the row, or the sector. From those 3 pieces of information, we're giving them 2, and one of them has to be true, and one of them has to be false. So if I'm here, I might say row 5, column D. And so row 5 is, they know that I'm either here or here. And that gives them some information. Now let's look at these sections here. Let's first talk about the mine and then the torpedo. And again, it does tell you a little bit about these things here. So if you drop a mine, you basically say stop dropping a mine, and you have to place it in an adjacent spot, and you cannot then go over that spot, and you can't put it on a spot that you currently have a line in, and that's dropping a mine. We could talk about activating a mine here in just a moment. So at any point other than when surfacing and repairing, which I'll get to later, they can say activating a mine. Now obviously you don't want to be next to the mine, because what happens is if they are on exactly the mine spot, it will give them 2 damage. If they're on any of the adjacent, including diagonal spots, it'll give 1 damage, but you can damage yourself. So if I drop the mine and then I activate it right away, we would get hit with 1 damage. So you don't want to do that. You want to move away from the mine and hope that they're near the mine when you launch, when you say activating the mine, and that's how you use that to explode the other team. But watch out, because you can explode yourself. Now, if this is full, you could say, stop, launching torpedo, and you can launch a torpedo where you are. You can go up to 4 spots in straight lines, not diagonal. If basically you're going to say launching a torpedo at, F7, for example. If they are on F7, you do 2 damage. If they're anywhere around it, they would get 1 damage. If they get none, they just say, no, you did not hit us. Now once that mine is there, you can activate it at any point in time that you're not surfacing. I'll get to surfacing later. But they would basically say, stop, I am activating a mine at G4. If they're on exactly G4, they take 2 damage. If they're on anything adjacent, including the diagonals, they'll take 1. But watch out, because you can damage yourself. We would not want to activate the mine while we're still here, because this mine would actually hit us for 1 damage because we're 1 away. Now, if you activate silence, you'd say stop, activating silence, and you would move up to 4 spaces in a straight line, and you can't move through islands, and you can't move over your lines like normal and stuff like that. And this scenario 1 is used for special scenarios in some of the maps that I'll get to later. Now let's talk about surfacing and repairing. Now let's say I went this way. Now as you move, you can never cross back over your line or go on a spot that you've already been until you surface. So let's say I want to surface because we've got a lot of damage that we want to repair. We want to be able to move back to where we were. We would hold our fist up and we would say surfacing in sector 3. So the other team knows that we're up and we're in Sector 3. Now in turn by turn, the other team just gets to take 3 turns in a row while you're servicing. If you're playing real time, this is what happens. Starting with the engineer, they're going to start drawing a line in this white box around one of the sections. And they're trying to do it without going out of the lines, and then they're going to write their initials on it. They're then going to pass it to the other players. Each of them are going to do that on their own team. Once this is completed, they can give it to the other engineer from the other team, and they make sure that we didn't go out of the lines. If everything looks good, we would be able to surface and get rid of all the damage. If it doesn't look good, they would give it back to us, point out our mistake, and we would have to start all over. But let's say we got it correct. We could erase all this. We would then erase all the current damage that's on our sub. And then we would get to mark our new spot, which is where we started this round. And we would be able to erase this. This now allows us essentially to now start moving back to where we were. And again, this continues until one team has 4 damage and that team loses. Let's look at some of the extra stuff. Now the game comes with many different maps. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. Each of them look different and some of them play differently. Some of them have special rules like activating the specific scenario type system and such. So there's a lot of replayability here as well. And here's a summary of how you play it with different amounts of people, of who's on what team. If you're playing with 3 or less, then essentially you have to play it turn by turn, but it's much more of a cerebral thinky game. As soon as I heard about this game last year, I was super excited. Number one, it's designed by Roberto Fraga, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite designers of crazy, zany games. You know, he did Dr. Eureka, he did Pingo Pingo, he's done, Kaboom, I believe. He's done a lot of other games that I absolutely love, and everything he touches I seem to like. And so I saw this, I saw some deduction, some real time. The game is really cool. It's a unique experience for sure. It's definitely one that I feel obviously plays best with the most players. If you have the full player count where everybody has one job to do, that's cool. I think with 6 it's okay too. It's not too bad. If you get less than 6 players, you're going to be playing this with people hopefully that have played it before, and that will make it a little bit easier. Also, the difference between the real time and the turn by turn. So when you first play it, you learn it turn by turn, and then you go to real time once you know what you're doing. But I will say, if you're playing with a small amount of players and everybody really knows the game well, the turn by turn can be very good. It's much more cerebral, much more thinky, much more studying what I should be doing, really thinking and taking my time as opposed to just going as frantic as I can. Some people might like that. I like that they have that option here because some people might look at this and go, oh, I hate real-time games. They just drive me bananas. Well, this one you can do it in a different way. If you like more cerebral, you can still get a great experience out of this game. I think that's brilliant. You can choose real time or that. I like how they have all the different maps. That's really cool. It's going to give you a lot of replayability. You can play different aspects of the game. You might be sick of the radio officer, go play the engineer. It's a completely different puzzle. Now with that being said, it is one of those games that probably won't come out as often for me because you need the right group. It's best with more players and you don't always have a group that's ready to play this. And there's a decent learning curve to teach 8 people how to play this game. You're teaching them how to play each of the stations. It's not terrible, but there is a learning curve there and it does take time to teach it and stuff like that. So it's probably not one that's going to come out too often, but when it does, I'm sure everyone's going to have a blast with it as we have so far. Now, the production quality is awesome. I love those big boards. It's really good. I personally love the deduction aspect of it. I love the radio officer where you're trying to figure out where things are going. But overall, it's a great game. But again, you're going to, if you have the right group for this, it gave me a feeling similar to, say, Space Cadets Dice Duel, where it's team versus team. It's very frantic. But here, I really like the aspect of not knowing what the other team's doing. It adds a little bit more deduction, and you're not dealing with dice. But if you didn't like Space Cadets Dice Duel and you hated the real time, you might still want to give this one a shot just because of that turn by turn as well as there. So overall, I highly recommend it if you have the right group and you're okay with pulling it out with a big group and you don't mind teaching it to everybody. I think it's worth the reward of teaching it and it's not terribly hard. So overall, I can highly recommend this game. I liked it a lot. It's very unique and it's a fun experience, and that's Captain Sonar.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter and making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.